going to start with a segue to Brazil. Adriano Anselmi is the South American Integrated Ag Solution Testing Lead for Bayer Crop Science. And for those of you who were with us last year, we heard from the VP of Bayer about the work that they are doing with 100,000 farmers in their supply chain with measuring soil carbon and encouraging regenerative agricultural procedures. So we've heard a little bit, Adriano, about what's going to be coming up at COP in Brazil. And we know that you studied at the University of Sao Paulo, as well as in Colorado State University. Thank you for the work that you're doing. We're thrilled to hear more about geospatial data and digital agriculture as a potential solution. So take it away. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity, for the invitation, and also congratulations for the event. I know how difficult it is to put this agenda together and put all of us together. So it's a pleasure to be here. The idea here is to present a little bit more about this exciting initiative that we call Carbono in South America. Let me see if I can pass the slides. Yeah, so it's a 5-year journey that I am proud to be part of the initiative. 5 years of collaboration and innovations in which we are very focused in transforming the scientific knowledge into scalable solutions that connects farmers to the carbon market. And we started this initiative 5 years ago, moved to 3 main challenges. First one, science, how to measure, how to monitor and account for carbon in agriculture. The second challenge, and probably the main one that's still on our scope, is how to better advise farmers and promote best practice adoption for long term. And the third one is in fact the market, how how to build this market and how farmers can be recognized and incentivized, financially incentivized to adopt this best agronomic practice. So we started this journey motivated by these 3 main challenges, and we figure out that we didn't have all the knowledge required to move forward and with the speed that we would like to. So we partner with several institutions here in the region. Are 47 researchers involved in this initiative, 19 institutions, in fact, that we partner with. And we built together what is probably the biggest soil carbon data set in tropical conditions. We built, we collected, let me see if I can have this, we collected in more than 19,000 farmers, more than 300 soil samples that flows to these institutions and helps to build studies, conclusions that in fact support us in better decisions. We published in these 5 years 26 peer reviewers publications, and you can access through this QR code all these publications that will lead you to the website in which they are published. You can access the publications, and by this public-private partnership, we develop several assets, tools, and I will highlight just 2 today due to the time that I have here. But I would like also to point that we are working in 5 main work streams. One is soil health and co-benefits, in which we account for the benefit of agronomic practice in terms of yield, resilience, and other soil health KPIs. We are also working in define protocols, simple protocols that put some challenge together, some best procedures together that help everyone that would like to start in this market, on this journey, to find how to measure for carbon, how to account, how many samples would be good to consider in the beginning, when you start to move into this market or to these initiatives. We are also investigating two different methodologies, innovative methodologies that can be used in the labs to account for carbon: near infrared and laser induced spectroscopy that could decrease the costs and increase the scale of these measurements. We are also working with Embrapa to develop tropicalized models that would help us to account for carbon in the soil, and tools that account for emissions. I will highlight two of the main achievements that we have in this 5 years of collaborations. And the first one is what is probably a first soil organic carbon biogeochemical model developed in tropical conditions that we developed with Embrapa. Is a model that is working, is functional. We just submitted the model framework in the beginning of the year. And we expect to have the calibration paper published until the end of this year. So it's use simulated measurable stocks, and also enables to data simulation algorithms, also use a crop model calibrated for our regions and our conditions. So it's a very excited deliverable that we did in this collaboration. Another huge advancement that we had also with Embrapa and with the researchers that are working very hard there, and we could implement at scale already, and had the chance to be validated from Boreal Veritas, is this tool that account for emissions. We are using life cycle assessment methodology as the basis for this tool, and we can provide 12 subcategories of source of emissions. We can divide into the 3 scopes, and these two help farmers to have a good diagnostic about their practices, how much CO2 they are releasing in their practices, in their activities, and select the main sources to maybe drive actions. And the idea is until the end of this year to have the process model, the biogeochemical model, coupled with this life cycle assessment to account for balance. And one impactful result to me that we got from the pilots that we are implementing in Latin America, South America region, is some numbers that I'm showing to you right now. Until the initiative, we just know this numbers of 1.5 ton of CO2 equivalent for ton of soybean. These are the numbers available in the international databases. But when we start to investigate with primary data, with each specific practice that farmers are using in applying the region, we found in the project an average number of almost 600 kilos of CO2 equivalent per ton of soybean. And when we look to the 25% of best fields in which farmers are adopting practices, we can find a number that can be 75% lower than the number that we knew before. So to enable these solutions at scale, we we build this Connecta platform that we can go from the subscription, guarantee all the social and environmental compliance for the farmers. We can look to the deforestation, if how many years ago farmers deforestate, if they are in compliance with the law and with the project criteria, for example. We pass through the accounting that I mentioned, footprint, and ProCS, the soil organic carbon. And we can provide the traceability and the credibility required into the market to achieve this 1.7 million hectares that we are monitoring right now. And the idea is to go until 3 million hectares until the end of 2025. So all of this is just possible with a lot of partnership, collaboration, and the idea is to maintain this collaboration and to bring even more the farmer's perspective to the initiative that will enable us to keep moving forward. So thank you very much for the attention. I hope to be not too much longer.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
very much.
Adriano. That is serious scale. And I think very exciting when we think about big corporates like Bayer paying this kind of attention to soil carbon sequestration. And amazing also that this is the biggest program across Latin America. So I'm hoping it gets some good airtime at COP as well. So we're going to move on now to Jody Hardin, who has been waiting patiently online, and then the wonderful Richard Prophet, who's here in person, will bring us home in advance of the exciting game that Stephanie has to get us all ready for the wonderful dinner and barbecue tonight. So Jody Hardin is the CEO and co-founder of the Carbon Chicken Project, which is a regenerative agricultural company based in Northwest Arkansas in the US. And Jody is a fifth generation farmer. So Jody, we're really looking forward to hearing your perspective on regenerative farming practices and the work that you've been doing at a very practical level. Thank you so much for being with us today. And Adriano, I'm hoping you can stay online as well so that once we've heard Richard, we can have a question or two before kicking off with Stephanie. Thanks so much.
All right, can you hear me there?
Yes.
All right, and so I am so honored to be here from the small state of Arkansas in the central United States to be part of a global conversation. This is our first time, and I feel like we're probably the smallest entity here today, and it's just a great pleasure to be able to present the Carbon Chicken Project. We're based in Fayetteville, Arkansas. My name is Jody Hardin, and I'm a fifth generation farmer and co-founder of the Carbon Chicken Project. And to really put it all into a simple slide, this is what we're here to do. We are taking advantage of a problem here in Northwest Arkansas. It's a very regional problem that we're dealing with, and it's targeted mainly towards the problem of poultry litter surplus in our watershed. And so what we're doing is, if you can see this map, we're in the northwest corner of Arkansas at the home base of Walmart and Tyson Foods and a lot of other multinational companies that are located here because of Walmart. And over the past 20 years, Oklahoma has been suing Arkansas poultry integrators because of the downstream pollution caused by the surplus of poultry litter from 1,900 broiler houses that are in a two-county region here that are right along the border of Oklahoma. And so what we have done is we've targeted this problem and see it as an opportunity for the issue that our whole nation is experiencing with the decline in soil organic matter. And we're trying to figure out how to persuade farmers to utilize the carbon that can come from waste streams like poultry litter or forest waste. So our idea has evolved over the past 10 years, and which started with a NRCS Conservation Innovation Grant in 2011, 2012, and 2013, where I was taught really how to build pyrolysis reactors and was introduced to biochar for the first time. And biochar, I left out the little definition slide, but it's basically the decomposition of organic matter in the absence of oxygen. And so it's like a charcoal. If you've never heard of biochar, I'm sure everyone in this audience has probably heard of it, but it's new to a lot of people, and it's become a very, key part of our presentation. But what we're doing is we're trying to pair the forest waste. As you can see in the map of Arkansas, we have along the west side of our state is our three national forests. The Ozark National Forest is the big one there, but we have an abundance of forest, what we call forest fire fuel potential that can be recycled and carbonized. And so what we found was we could pair the surplus of poultry litter that's being produced in Northwest Arkansas with the abundance of carbon that's being produced in our national forest nearby. And what we have in the eastern part, southern part of our state is massive commercial agriculture who have depleted soil organic matter. And they're down to a point where it's crusting the soil and they're getting sheeting, and it's washing away their chemical fertilizers that wash into the Arkansas River and down to the Mississippi River and into the Gulf of Mexico, whatever you want to call it. And so what we feel like we're doing now is trying to scale so that our project is more of a meaningful project to the region. And it's been very difficult. We've been started in 2024 making our product, the carbon chicken, and this is our tool to sequester or sink carbon and solve many environmental problems, and also create an opportunity for farmers to replace their soil organic matter with permanent carbon like biochar. And biochar stays in the soil for hundreds of years, and we've just here at our Carbon Chicken Innovation Farm, we're doing long-term studies and learning about application rates, but we're seeing that this is a very powerful product that we're introducing to farmers. But we need to scale to get to a price point that farmers can afford. However, our strategy is to develop a product that really leads with poultry litter, that leads with the nutrients. So what we do is we compost the poultry litter to meet organic standards, USDA certified organic standards. And then we're inoculating our biochar with microbial inoculants. We're adding over 200 beneficial bacteria and fungi to our to the inoculant, and biochar is this amazing carrier of microbes that can regenerate soil on their own. But it's one of the biggest things, but the carbon or the biochar that is in our product stays behind. And every year that farmers reapply or utilize our product, they'll be adding carbon. And it's a real simple tool that our local farmers tend to understand. So what we're doing is basically this slide describes what we're doing. We're inside the broiler houses. We're removing the poultry litter to our facility. We're turning it 5 times. We're inoculating the biochar, blending this with our poultry litter, and then we take it. And then you can see there's farm scale size pyrolysis reactors, and then there's industrial scale. And the Carbon Chicken Project has 3 viable projects in the works that are very exciting for pyrolysis reactors. And we have 3 projects in the works, one with a paper mill, one with a sawmill, and one in the poultry industry here in Northwest Arkansas. Each of these projects are $3 to $5 million projects that we've been working on separately, trying to get secure funding for. But we're struggling with this. We're getting closer, but our team members, Richard Ems and Kristen Eford, who are on the call today with us today, we are constantly pitching and promoting this to investors and struggling to get it going. But we think that we're on the verge of scaling to the next level. At this point, we just have a pilot facility here on our farm where we're only making enough to get to introduce it to new markets and to get some trials going so that we can get feedback and some actual scientific studies done for farmers. But anyway, you can see that the biochar is not the only byproduct. We get syngas and we get bio oils, and there's a lot of benefits, but we've been working on our financial stack, and we think that eventually we will figure out. We've been de-risking our project for almost 2 years, and speak to what Mitch and John both said. It seems like they were speaking to us at the Carbon Chicken Project. But biochar or carbon chicken was created to be the perfect soil conditioner from my point of view as a farmer. It has such amazing properties. I really don't have time to get into it all, but basically we created something that's easy to use, that sequesters carbon. We're upcycling nutrients that are otherwise a problem in our environment here downstream into the tribal nations, where we're seeing algal bloom, and it's destructive to our recreational waters. And it's also, this nutrient that farmers need. They need phosphorus in certain areas where here in our Northwest, we have a very abundance of phosphorus. So we feel like this is a winning project. We're trying to get into major big box stores like Walmart and Tractor Supply to distribute these nutrients from a polluted region out to the rest of the world, and that's kind of our simple distribution plan. But I better stop. Let's make sure there's time for questions.
Fantastic, terrific. Thank you so much. And we're going to hear from Richard Profit now from Cool Farms. And Jody, there may be some very interesting connections here because Richard is a member of the Sustainability Consortium, which was originally started by Walmart. So there may be some very interesting inter-panelist questions as well. So we're thrilled to have you with us, Richard, and it was great to meet you at the Sustainability Consortium. Love to hear more about the Cool Farm Alliance and also your work at Nottingham University Business School. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Let's wait for the slides. Yeah, no worries. It's on my heart. Bloody hell. We're all wilting slightly, aren't we? Like the crops in the field. Oh, there we go. I'm not seeing it down here. Okay. So the Cool Farm Alliance, thank you. So we're a not-for-profit membership organisation that's been going for about 17 years now. So we started in 2008 as a collaboration between Aberdeen University, Unilever, and the Sustainable Food Lab in the US. And we're coming together to try to catalyse sustainable agriculture and change within the agricultural food and beverage sector as well. Oh, I've got a clicker. So we've got about 200 members now, having started with 3, and collectively they come together to create the Cool Farm tool as a calculation quantification platform metrics to support that regeneration across agriculture. It's a global tool, global alliance. We're in 150 countries around the world, with a distribution about half in Europe and then 15% in sort of North America, South America, a little bit less in Asia, and then the balance in sub-Saharan Africa. And we've got, of our membership, of about 200 members, we've got most of the big food multinationals and input chemical companies and the like. But we also specifically then also work and partner with NGOs, number of universities, to have a sort of a more holistic sort of group, a cluster of stakeholders within the group. And over the sort of years, this year, we've got about 44,000 users within the Cool Farm tool that are distributed globally. Collectively, we've gathered about 230,000 assessments, so carbon assessments, biodiversity assessments, also include water and food loss and waste impact. But we also have API connections, and the Cool Farm calculation engine is embedded in about 75 different digital platforms, farm management systems, that sort of thing. And to date, we're at about 18.6 million assessments being completed through those third-party platforms. So we're probably sitting on the biggest single data set of farm assessments, carbon assessments around the world. Not that we have yet stepped into processing that sort of data for insights gathering, but that data is used within the tool as a farm decision support tool for farmers. It's free to access for farmers, so they can use that to inform their farm management plans, but also they can use it to report their emissions through the supply chain. So it becomes a Scope 3 primary data and derived data for the carbon for Scope 3 reporting through the food and beverage supply chain. I've got a couple of sort of case studies for you to just sort of highlight what some of the activities that our team are getting up to, or the members are getting up to. So Solidaridad's NGO, a member who's been using our perennials pathway with the coffee industry. This might actually be bigger than the Bayer example that was just shown, because they've taken it to 3,200 farmers across Latin America, and 25,000 hectares. Not I'm going to get competitive, but they're doing a really good engagement program with the smallholders and the cooperatives in Latin America to drive the tool as a decision support tool to help inform what they're doing and driving down carbon emissions, driving down fertilizer use, improving biodiversity, and the net sort of co-benefits that come along with some of the practices within the farming systems. And they've built their own user interface that's sort of customized for the Latin American markets for the farmers there. And then the Cool Farm tool is acting as the calculation engine behind that digital platform for those calculations. The next case study I want to touch on is a program that was started by 3Keel, and it's the Landscape Enterprise Network. So this was actually quite transformational. I think this is probably one of the best programs in the world at the moment. And what they do is they work with farmers at a landscape level and bring together the various stakeholders. So one of the challenges for farmers to transition is access to capital, because typically they get no longevity of supply contracts. And so to be able to lock into capital, it becomes a problem, because a retailer or a food company might only be guaranteeing to take their crop for next year, but they need to kind of think about 5-10 years worth of supply in order to go and secure loans or funding. So what this program does, it starts to bringing together all of the off-takers across the crop rotation, so that they can actually sort of work up programs that start guaranteeing purchase of product for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And then all of those off-takers of the commodity can then co-invest in the farm to invest in the technologies that they need to transition to regen ag, but also it gives the farmer that security of supply to then be able to go and access the finance markets themselves. And it's then linked to nature-based credits, and the off-takers are buying the credits as well as the commodity. So there's almost like a stacked win for the farmer. Really, really powerful program. So that's now moving through. It's in the UK, started in the UK. It's now moving into Europe. And they've got a number of programs in Europe, and I think it's got global application. So it's definitely worth looking into that one. And then this is kind of just the sort of summary slide, if you like, of how we fit in. So there's lots of programs out there, or frameworks, sustainable ag, this, that, and the other, and everyone sort of seems to be popping up with a new framework every other week or so. So what we do is, there's the global sort of standards, the GHG protocols, which sort of set the overall governance and framework for these things. Then you get these sort of commodity-based sustainability frameworks that fit in, neither of which really get into the detail of how do you actually quantify at ground level. And this is where it then starts becoming very, very complicated for farmers and for organization corporates to think about, well, what's consistent, what's comparable between different processes, different frameworks, different systems. So this is where Cool Farm comes in. So because through our 200 members and the scale we've got with our members, we provide a sort of consistent, standardized approach for how to physically quantify it on the ground. So we provide models that are based on peer-reviewed published science. So some of the examples we've heard today about actual measurements on the ground is really, really important because we use those to inform how we build the models. And then the models allow it to be more scalable at a cheaper price point. And as we get into remote sensing, satellites, that data can then sort of come into this to help further refine the models, as well as obviously all the actual measured data. So having that sort of standardized process for that quantification becomes a massive asset to the various companies because they don't have to just justify the methodologies that are being used. And there's a standardized methodology that all of the companies are using for their agricultural supply. Most of the tools that are out there are using some sort of standard emission factor, and they're not actually really processing primary data at all. And I don't know what the exact number is, but I would guesstimate somewhere between 80 and 90% of tools out there are nothing more than emission factor aggregators. And then there's other tools like ours that come in and use primary data to actually quantify a real estimate for that particular farm, for that commodity, for your supply chain. And so it provides a much more accurate tier 3 level sort of number and calculation that can support your reporting for your scope 3 emissions. And then I've got various QR codes. The third one, the impact report, could be interesting for people. So it's a couple of years old now, but it captures a whole bunch of case studies from a membership and what they're doing on the ground. And it gives sort of an idea of the scale of the work that our membership is able to do.